Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode in our Bitcoin forking and scaling series with Jimmy Song. This show has had a few episodes on my personal YouTube channel, but it is now moving over to the World Crypto Network. And this is part of our recent announcement that we are going to scale the World Crypto Network to be one of the top YouTube channels in the Bitcoin and crypto space. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We're kicking off with 150 live viewers already. I already saw it had like 20 likes and 20 dislikes before the show even started, which was amazing. It also means we got haters out there that are already disliking this show so that it doesn't go out and bring you all of the information. And oh, we do have Jimmy on. Jimmy, go ahead and say hi and maybe give a brief intro. We might have a lot of new viewers here. Max Kaiser, thank you for your tweets. We're definitely, well, let's go for the record. Let's break 1,000 live viewers again.
Oh, that would be amazing. Hi, everybody. My name is Jimmy Song. I'm a Bitcoin developer. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been writing a lot of articles, and I've been on the World Crypto Network for about almost 6 months. Would you say that's about how long I've been on? But yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you today. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff going on, and I'm sure Tone will bring up a lot of this stuff. But yeah, it's a very exciting time in Bitcoin, and if you want to know about what's going to happen tomorrow, this is the place to be.
All right, we're not gonna beat around the bush much. I am gonna be doing share screen, and we will bring everybody up to speed. Let's jump right to it, Jimmy. Let me do share screen, and we take it from there. So here's my favorite countdown of what's about to happen in 12 hours from now. Is this clock accurate? Because people seem to be confused. Not everyone is adjusting for like daylight savings time or whatever, because I've seen many tweets saying that, no, this clock is off by an hour, that clock is off by an hour. What is this correct? Is my first question.
Well, so according to, if I do a search for the current time in UTC, it's 11:06 p.m. So that would make it 13 hours and 13 minutes. I think it's off by an hour. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what it seems like to me. And we will have Bitcoin Cache going live at 12:20 UTC August 1st. So I believe.
All right, so 12:20 UTC. So let's do a conversion here. Hold on a second. So we got 12. Google's been really good at this, actually. 12:20 UTC. All you have to do is Google that, and it usually comes up. Okay. So I'm in New York. So 8:20 p.m. Sunday in New York.
Why does it say Monday there? Yeah, I think you want to say, why don't you Google current time in UTC?
Okay, let's try that. Is my computer on the wrong day?
I think when you search like 12:20 UTC, it automatically assumes Monday or something like that.
Oh, that could be it. Oh, but it doesn't matter, right? Because it's 12:20 UTC tomorrow. So all we have to do is add.
Oh, it's saying 12:20 a.m. So it's actually 8:20 a.m. for you tomorrow. So it thinks you're saying 12:20 a.m. when you actually mean 12:20 p.m. UTC.
Oh, okay.
That should be yeah. So that's 8:20 a.m. tomorrow. So I don't know what time it is in your time zone, Tone.
Right. Well, right now it's 7 p.m.
Okay. Yeah. So it's 13 hours away.
13 hours away. Okay. So the previous one says 12 hours, 12 minutes.
I guess I'm guessing that one's off a little bit. Yes.
Right. And again, see, this is what's part of the confusion, right? I mean, if me and you are sitting here debating this, what is the average person to do? And we're going to get to some of that, right? And we do have other websites. Everyone seems to be focused on it. Here's the favorite, xbt.eu, and they still have the user-activated Softfork BIP148 countdown, which is happening in 51 minutes.
Right. It should be actually maybe even a little.
And that clock is off.
Yeah, I mean, I think Well, no, 51 minutes. That sounds right. That sounds about right. But that should hopefully be a no-op because BIP91 front ran it. But
right. So let's talk about that. This is what I want to talk about. Right? Is there? Let's line these things up in order. So, is there anything that a user needs to do to worry about something in 51 minutes?
No, because everything that would have happened with UASF happened as a result of the BIP91 soft fork, and that's been going on for over a week now. So we're good. BIP148 will just enforce the rule that's already on the network. So we're all good.
Okay. So the next question is the SegWit lock-in period. Is our current period that is set to end Wednesday, August 9th. What is that? So what does that mean? So SegWit gets locked in on August 9th, and the moment it actually locks in, people can mine a SegWit block and propagate it through the network?
No, not quite. So the way that BIP9 works, and that's how SegWit was sort of initially presented to the network, is that you need 95% of a 2016 block difficulty adjustment period. And if you look a little bit below, it says SW lock-in 647 of 2016. 95% is 1916. We're going to get 2016 out of 2016, but that it's the bar right above what you just highlighted. But
right, the SegWit lock-in bar, this one.
Yeah.
Right.
So it will lock in, and then you need another difficulty.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, right? This lock-in period is set to happen on the 9th.
It will lock in by August 9th, but then you need BIP9 allows for another difficulty adjustment period, 2016 blocks for everybody to upgrade to SegWit. And then you can, then SegWit is active and anyone can mine SegWit blocks. But in those 2 weeks, are given so that everyone can upgrade and, be able to see SegWit block.
I thought it was these 2 weeks that we're in the middle of.
No. These 2 weeks are the actual lock-in of BIP 141. And we're almost there. We only have like 10
I
days
see.
left.
Okay. So right. So I was pushing it 2 weeks forward. Okay. So that means that SegWit blocks will start being mined around Monday, the 21st of August.
Yeah, I think I got to tell you that I believe that XBT.EU is a little bit aggressive in their timing. Typically, if you calculate about 10 minutes per block, 2016 blocks is about 2 weeks. This is right now assuming that a lot of mining power, hash power will come online and make the difficulty adjustment period about a day and a half shorter. That may still be the case. I mean, mining is very profitable, so a lot of manufacturers are mining. But 21st seems a little aggressive. 9th even seems a little aggressive to me. My calculation was around August 10th or 11th. And the actual SegWit activation would be somewhere around 23rd, 24th, 25th.
Gotcha. Well, hey, August 11th is the day I've been talking about since 2014. So I can't wait for that August 9th to actually be August 11th because I will be tweeting about that all day.
Nostradamus, right?
Yeah, exactly. I had that date marked long ago. All right. I do want to also, at the same time, we are broadcasting this live, and I do want to grab a couple of questions as they are coming in. Thank you very much for your donations, guys. This is a super chat. So if you want your question read in the air, like someone just did, they actually, Jimmy, you're not watching the live chat, but somebody did throw in a $10 tip. Thank you for that, along with a question. And we will get to that question. Absolutely. We do want to support our audience that supports us. Okay. All right. So the lock-in is going to happen August 9th, and then you have 2 more weeks to get the stragglers on board with SegWit, just not to leave them behind. And that's clearly not going to be a problem because we already have 100% compliance with SegWit. So it looks like everything was going smoothly until, this happened. All right. So we're still a little unsure about the time. It might be 12 hours. It might be 13 hours. Maybe we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, look, like here's coins.dance, and they have 13 hours and 6 minutes. And these guys have 12 hours and 6 minutes. So my confusion is not unfounded, and clearly other people are struggling, even those that are telling the world what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's 13. I'm pretty sure that Coinbase.
Okay, so
is right.
13 hours from now, so that would make it. Oh, I have to wake up early tomorrow, man. I have to. I have to watch this. I have to watch these deer in the headlights experiment.
Well, I mean, everyone is going to be watching for that first block that comes from Bitcoin Cache and how long it takes after 12:20. that is going. If it takes like 10 minutes, then you know they have a lot of hashing power. If it takes like 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 12, hours, then you're gonna know roughly how much hashing power they have, and that's going to determine so much in terms of how viable they are, how much hashing power they have, and we can even sort of project out when the difficulty on that chain will change and things like that. So
we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. And I know I have a lot of followers here, and everyone's always curious about the price. We will be keeping an eye on the price as we go. Those that have been watching my Twitter saw me tweet out this complicated thing this morning. And then I made it very simple in the follow-up tweet. As of earlier today, when Bitstamp crossed 28.25 in price, my long-term view of the price of Bitcoin went bullish, and my daily chart of Bitcoin also went bullish early this morning before I even woke up. So I did send this out later. So for me, on all time frames, the actual Bitcoin is bullish on daily and weekly time frames according to the technicals. And considering how fearful some people are of what's about to happen, in 13 hours, aren't you a little surprised that the value of Bitcoin is this high?
I'm very surprised. I mean, the only explanation I could think of is a lot of people are coming into Bitcoin from alts or something like that to get their Bitcoin Cash or something. Or it could be just sort of like a contrarian play. It reminds me of, back when, Silk Road was busted, everybody thought that price would go down. It actually went, that was sort of the trigger for that big bubble in 2013 in some ways. So, yeah, I'm kind of surprised, but not really, because Bitcoin always surprises me.
Yeah, and I'm going to trust the price here. The price is telling me that Bitcoin is a buy on a technical level, so I'm going to stick with that. And looking at the live charts, and we'll go back and forth to price. We pulled back down a little bit to 28.35. It looks like we hit a high of 28.90, which is pretty good. I mean, I'm happy.
Isn't that an all-time high, or is that close?
No, 28.90, 29.90 is the all-time high. Okay. So we are, and that happened earlier. So the high 2 weeks ago was 29.38, and the all-time high came in at 29.80. So we're close. I mean, we were within $100 of the all-time high.
Maybe it'll be like the last time we were on, and the price went crazy in the hour that we were on. I don't know.
All right, so let's talk about the node situation. Okay, so the user activated Softfork, and I'm still wearing the hat right here. I'm gonna keep wearing it like after. Oh man, I got one more day, and then this hat no longer makes sense. And considering that ever since I started wearing this hat, I've lost more and more hair. So now I got to decide what's going to be on my head.
You only have to wear the hat for like 45 more minutes, Tone. I mean,
I know. So we have a cutoff time before I'm forced to take it off.
You might have to take it off before the end of the show.
Oh God, I know. Here's my countdown. After this countdown, this hat needs to be like put on a shelf and preserved for all time. Can't really wear it to wear it out.
Well, I mean, I think you should auction it off to one of your viewers or something. I think that would be a good thing for charity.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you should sign it at Tone Vase.
Oh man, that's not a bad idea. All right, well, we'll talk about that at another time. All right, let's talk about the nodes. Okay, so when the user-activated Softfork started, oh man, I forgot where that website was. Hold on one second. I think UASF, or wait a minute, or Bitcoin UASF.org, was it? That's it? Nah, that's not it. Damn. UASF. Forgot all about it.
UASF.co?
Yeah, UASF.co. Perfect. Yeah, here it is. So look at this movement. Look at this drive by people to support the user-activated Softfork by creating their nodes, okay? And if we go to coins.dance, we see that there are still 1,330 user-activated Softfork nodes. And if I turn on my camera, you'll see my Bitcoin node behind me by the TV sitting there on a computer. The Bitcoin ABC nodes are 292 deep. And that's compared to Bitcoin Core nodes. Now, I'm not sure if this 1,300 is part of this 5,635.
It wouldn't be, because they give out a different version name. So they're separate and mutually exclusive.
Gotcha. Okay. So what do you think? I mean, it's I mean, Bitcoin Unlimited has more nodes, and we all know what happened to this movement. Does that give you? I know you were a little nervous about the Bitcoin ABC nodes, and do the people running Bitcoin ABC nodes realize that that's the same thing as Bitcoin Cache, or the users and stuff like that? Like, I can see how this can be really confusing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. And right now, the reason why they all show up here is because they're all on one chain. And as soon as Bitcoin ABC breaks off at 12:20 UTC tomorrow, I don't think they'll be counted as part of this, because they'll be banned basically by all these other nodes. Although I have heard that Bitcoin Unlimited has a Bitcoin Unlimited Cache, that's like a Bitcoin Cache version of Bitcoin Unlimited, and Bitcoin Classic has a version, and so on. But basically, those nodes are going to be separated from the network, because they'll be transmitting what to Bitcoin Core are invalid blocks. So they'll sort of fork off the network, and they probably won't be counted here. Though, I mean, I don't know what the proprietors of Coin.dance will do, but that's what I'm guessing. Yeah. Tone?
Sorry, I left myself on mute. So I'm not used to muting myself, obviously. So once this happens, in 13 hours, only those running these nodes will be able to accept transactions.
Well, only transactions from the Bitcoin ABC,
Correct.
Bitcoin Cache side of the fork. Yeah.
Correct.
I'm not sure if Bitcoin Unlimited Cache would signal Bitcoin Unlimited or some other version. So it's possible that some of that 812 in the Bitcoin Unlimited nodes may be running Bitcoin Cache compatible software. So it's possible. I'm not entirely sure.
All right. So what do we know for sure when it comes to nodes?
Well, not much really, because you can fake signaling like on nodes. It's not like backed by proof of work or anything. So it's entirely like you can totally Sybil attack this network, and I believe that's happened in the past where certain software looked like there was a lot more of it on the network when there wasn't, and things like that. So yeah, it's hard to know at this point what is real by looking at this graph. I guess most nodes are trustworthy, in which case, these stats would be roughly accurate, but it's hard to say.
Okay, gotcha. So, all right, and then next question then. Well, let's see. We got there's a bunch to cover. Do I want to get into the price now, or do I want to get into the price later?
Maybe you want to thank the almost 800 people watching now.
Oh my God, we broke 800. You know what? This is good. Let's break for a question. We did have an audience member throw in a generous tip donation to ask the following question. So let me read that out to you. What are the similarities and differences of a hard fork when it comes to the 21 million Bitcoin limit? Is this similar to increasing supply of, say, gold, and will it have a similar effect? I think this is more of a question for me, but do you want to throw in a comment there, Jimmy?
I mean, I guess as far as the technical process of putting out a hard fork, yeah, it would be very similar to what Bitcoin Cache is doing. They would change some code. This is obviously consensus critical, and they would change what Bitcoin's emission schedule, right, which is asymptotic to 21 million. I am not sure what the economic consequences would be, and that's certainly more your domain, Tim.
All right, so I'm going to speculate on that right here. Okay, I just had this discussion with some family members over the weekend when I was over at my cabin, and trying to explain this to financial people is it shouldn't be hard, but when the financial people aren't really in the world of Bitcoin, it was incredibly tricky. So my view on it is this. A Bitcoin price has held up amazingly well through this, amazingly well. Now, I actually had a feeling that it should, but I wasn't sure. It shouldn't be possible to hard fork Bitcoin. It shouldn't be possible for them to have this viable hard fork for multiple reasons. One, if this was really possible, it would have made sense a long time ago and somebody would have done it and succeeded. One reason. Second reason is if it happens now and it's successful, it opens the door for it to happen again and again and again. Okay? And the idea that you can just print money out of thin air seems to be alive and well in the ICO altcoin space, but not on a long-term basis, and not when it comes to confidence in Bitcoin. One of the selling points of Bitcoin is the fact that it's a 21 million limit, and you can't change that. If you can create a clone of Bitcoin that is just as good as Bitcoin, it's almost like doubling the supply of Bitcoin to 42 million coins. And Bitcoin Cache isn't all that different than Bitcoin. What they're doing is they're taking out SegWit and they're putting in big blocks. Otherwise, it's the same, pretty much. It's no same thing with Litecoin, right? This was like Luke Dash Jr.'s biggest, like he was calling Litecoin a scam for years. He basically said all they did was add Bitcoin supply by changing the algorithm from SHA-256 to script, I think, or I'm not sure how what exactly they did.
That's what they did.
Right. They changed the emission rate, and they changed basically how many coins there are, and that's pretty much it. They didn't really do anything else. And he was always critical of that. Well, if that's a viable business model, then Bitcoin has no value. Then we're back to printing infinite amount of money, which is this is another reason why I always thought that Bitcoin was superior and Bitcoin will be our one and only blockchain in the future. But I am glad that Litecoin was around to test user-activated Softfork, to test segregated witness. So it's good. And I'm glad Monero is around because one of these days, Bitcoin will be playing around with better fungibility features. Or, I mean, perhaps Monero is very different, but it's good to have an anonymous currency around to see its effects, or if the feds are going to come and start cracking down on crypto, will they try to crack down on something like Monero first if Monero starts to dominate the darknet markets before Bitcoin is? So there are some use cases to some of these altcoins as long as these altcoins were created fairly and are continued to be maintained by competent developers. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think what we would get if we change the 21 million limit, and that's I think what the question was asking, is you'd have an altcoin immediately when you do a hard fork. Well, so there's sort of two types of hard forks, right? There's a hard fork where you sort of have two different coins and they last forever. And then you have the other type of hard fork, which Monero, for instance, has been successful in executing, which is when everybody upgrades. And that's the type of hard fork that we want to happen on the network, and not the other type where you sort of split the network. And that's really only happened twice, once with Ethereum, and now it looks like with Bitcoin in about 13 hours. And that's not a very good place to be, because you're launching an altcoin essentially with an airdrop of whatever the ledger was before, and some people are looking at it as 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 free money, and maybe in a sense it might be because of all the crazy money coming into crypto at the moment. But it is sort of an altcoin, right? It's something else, and you can't. It's unsustainable, like what you're saying. You can't just keep doing that forever. It's otherwise it wouldn't be scarce, and the whole store of value property of something being scarce, it would be broken. So yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to happen and what's going to go on, but certainly this brings up a lot of questions about what happens if Bitcoin Cash is successful, right? Like there's a lot of scary scenarios here.
There are, but that is a very big if, and that's really not an if I'm entertaining at the moment. I'm just not. I don't believe that it's going to be successful. But you also brought up an interesting point of people, chasing that last dollar, and this is an important point. I'm probably bringing it up a little early, but I do want to get it out of the way. And we will get to another question. We had a couple of other questions come in with the tips. So we will get to those as we go. So people are chasing this thing, right? And here is my biggest worry. Let's start with my biggest worry first. And this is thanks to the Electron wallet. And I said this on my personal podcast, on my YouTube channel, just the other day. Let me see here. Where's their tweet here? Here. This should scare many, many people. And I know a lot of people are going to screw this up. Okay? So basically, Electron is warning you not, and they're one of the most secure, most safest wallets that we have on the market. They're basically warning you not to try and duplicate your Bitcoin Cash on the same computer as your Bitcoin node. Can like some people chasing this fraction of a Bitcoin end up actually losing their Bitcoin in the process?
It's possible. As soon as you give away a private key, it's no longer yours, and that's it's a bearer instrument for that reason. You own it as long as you have your own private key. As long as if you put your private keys into software you don't trust, then it could go away. So I would stick with something like Trezor or Ledger. They have specific support for Bitcoin Cash, and that's going to be a lot easier to transact using that once an exchange that you trust starts trading Bitcoin Cash. Then you can send it over. Although even there, I think there's a guy on Twitter, I can't remember his name. He had a tweet storm about how you'd be giving up some privacy if you just sent all your UTXOs in at once, because people would be able to figure out how much Bitcoin you owned as a result of that transaction. So be very careful. Send in one thing at a time if you want to preserve your privacy. But yeah, I mean, Electron Cache is a fork of Electrum and not specific. The Electrum, the wallet, and Electron Cache, the wallet, are two separate things, and you should treat it.
Oh, wait, they're different? I thought they just misspelled something.
No. Electron Cache is a fork that the Bitcoin ABC people are, I don't know if it's Bitcoin ABC people, but certainly the Bitcoin Cache people have been working on to make sure that you can
so let me get, whoa. Let me get this straight here. So Electron wallet, which is very respected in the industry. Some developers, we may not even know who they are, forked Electron wallet to give you Electron wallet.
Electron Cache.
Which is different than Electron Cache, right?
Well, Electron is different than Electron Cache. Electron operates on the Bitcoin network. Electron Cache will operate on the Bitcoin Cache network.
Okay, so at the end of the tweet, it says Electron Cache, and above the tweet, it said Electron Cache. There's an O and a U. How are these two things different?
I think they just spelled it wrong the first time.
They spelled it wrong the first time or the second time?
The first time, because Electron Cache was in the Bitcoin Cache announcement.
Okay. So Electron Cache is a clone of Electron wallet specific for Bitcoin Cache.
That's correct.
Okay. Did Electron do this, or did some guy we don't know clone the Electron code because it's open source?
Yeah, some guy cloned it because it's open source. That's exactly.
And people are going to put their Bitcoin private keys into this thing to get the Bitcoin Cache.
Yeah, either that or the Bitcoin Cache wallet.
Are they not exposing their actual Bitcoin by doing that?
Well, it depends on what the software does. It's entirely possible there's like malware in there, I guess. I haven't audited it, but I assume it's open source.
Anyone?
I don't know. I haven't.
Okay, so those that are watching, do you guys see the problem here? So I've been telling people, okay, this is my view on it, right? When you have your Bitcoin private key, and we all tell people to make sure they have your Bitcoin private key. When you have your Bitcoin private key, you're supposed to hide that in the safest place possible, and don't let anybody see it. If someone, I'm going to camera for this. If someone like wiggles a carrot in front of you with $1 on the end of it, and you're sitting on a Bitcoin private key with, let's say, 40 Bitcoin, 50 Bitcoin, 100 Bitcoin, you're actually going to take that private key that no one is supposed to see, and you're going to chase that dollar with it. I mean, to me, this has disaster written all over it. Like the Dow. Well, like I saw the disaster of the Dow written all over it, right? Like I'm not always right with these things, but like to me, this is insane. Here's how I treat my private keys. I hide them from myself. So I have like a few Bitcoins on my old Mac. It broke. I can't turn it on anymore. It's done. I have a backup on a couple of USB drives, right? So my options are I bring this Mac to a professional that can fix it and get it running again, and I will stand over that guy the whole time because I'm going to be like, nope, I'm not moving. I'm gonna watch everything you do. I may even not tell him why, but I'll be there. Okay. My other option is to run the backup and start a brand new wallet and run the backup. Now, right now, my backup is pretty secure. I know there's one backup in a Mac that doesn't turn on, and another backup on a couple of USB thumb drives. The Bitcoin private key is encrypted itself, and the USB drive is also encrypted itself. I'm not in a rush to get this Bitcoin private key out because right now I know it's safe. The moment I plug this USB drive into some computer, the moment I get it out, the moment I change the wallet.dat file in some other computer, I bring this Bitcoin into the world, and I bring this Bitcoin into the world. I don't know. I don't know, right? And that scares me. I'm really keeping my Bitcoin private, and we're going back to screen share right now. So there is an Electron Cache.
Yeah, so somebody in chat said that they got sued for the name Electron Cache, so they had to change it to Electron Cache in order to not be associated with Electron, because the Electron developers didn't like the fact that they were using the same name.
Right, why would they? I mean, you don't know if this is malware. Like, you don't know if you import your private key into this thing, next thing you know, your Bitcoin is gone. You have like 10 Bitcoin. Oh, I have 10 Bitcoin. They're worth $30,000. A Bitcoin Cache right now is worth what? $200, $300, $300. So it's worth 10%, right? So you're willing to risk 90% of your Bitcoin in order to get an extra 10%. I mean, I'm not even looking at this. This is I don't understand how people get like, again, like I said, you wiggle a carrot and they're willing to give up their private keys.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust Electron Cache unless you've audited the code. But Trezor and Ledger at least will be supporting it, and those are pretty trustworthy companies, and they've been known to support multiple altcoins with their devices already. So that should be fairly safe. And I think if you were going to, I guess as you call it, chase that carrot, then you would do it in the safest manner possible, and not have it like taken away from you last second into a bear trap. So yeah, I would go with something like Trezor or Ledger, or if you're a developer, you can construct the transactions yourself. That's very hard. I've done it before. It's extremely annoying, and you can screw up at like multiple points, but there are resources where you can go and construct these transactions manually if you need to, and there are tools to let you do that. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing it that way. You know, you utilize the wallets that you trust, the code that you've already vetted. You know, you utilize those, not something new that just came out. This is how you get hacked, and this is how you you know, go broke.
Right. And so my advice to people this whole time has been, you know what, just ignore this damn thing. You either believe in Bitcoin, or you're a trader, or you're a professional at this. Like, if you don't know how to split coins, and I don't know how to split coins, you should not be involved in this, right? You can entrust an institution to split them for you, but even Coinbase is like, we're not going to be responsible for this shit. And many others are doing the same. I mean, this is a good time to have a lawyer on the show to see what the potential liability is if an exchange screws up the split, or what a potential liability is if an exchange doesn't do the split, but the split becomes viable, though I don't see the split becoming viable.
I mean, we talked about this at work. As you know, I work for ItBit, and we were talking about this the whole time. I think almost every exchange was sort of caught caught unprepared for this whole thing. And, you know, we don't have, like, I think we had about 10 days between the announcement and, you know, August 1st when they were going to split. There's no way you could bring on, you know, a new coin in that short an amount of time, and, you know, have the right security procedures, the right, you know. So we were just like, hey, you know what, we'll just announce that we're not gonna support it. And, you know, we'll do the right thing eventually, but, you know, who knows how long that's going to take. That requires a lot of resources, and, you know, putting a new coin onto an exchange is a lot of work. And, you know, I imagine that's exactly what Coinbase said, right? It's like, we don't want to. It takes them like ages to put a new coin on, so they're not going to do it at the, you know, behest of a new hard fork coming through. So that's kind of what it looks like. That's what's happening here. So
what is ItBit doing in preparation for this?
Well, we put out a statement very similar to Coinbase and a lot of other exchanges that says, hey, if you want Bitcoin Cash, get it out, you know, today, right? Like July 31st is the last day you're going to be able to access it. We'll make you whole on the Bitcoin Cash stuff, but, you know, don't expect it right away, and it's going to take a long time. So yeah, I don't want to speak too much on behalf of the company because I might get in trouble. But I mean,
no, just a public statement, so I don't have to Google.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, certainly these are all factors that I'm sure every exchange in the world is thinking about. I mean, you have 10 days to support a new coin. That is not easy, people, and it's not going to be a fun thing for the developers or anybody. And, you know, same thing for wallets and everybody else. And this is one of the reasons why this hard fork is so disruptive. You know, everybody has to think about how to support it, and you know, what they're going to do, and make a plan of attack around this stuff. And, you know, for not that much value that's added, right? Like, it's, I don't know, maybe if it's worth something, then, you know, an exchange might make a few percent here and there. But for the most part, you're putting in a lot of work because you're trying to reduce legal liability, not really anything else. And that's it's socializing the cost of creating this hard fork in a way that kind of sucks. And I don't know, it's not a very good situation for the ecosystem in that way.
Gotcha. All right, so this leads us into a follow-up question, and then I'm going to get to a couple of viewers' questions. But so getting your coins out of Coinbase, that caused a little bit of a ruckus earlier this week, right? So I know I was involved in it coincidentally because I had a client that was paying me, and the client goes, okay, I just sent it to you. And then like 2 hours later, I'm texting back the client, and I'm like, I just want to make sure you sent it to like the right Bitcoin address, and it didn't go into the ether, right? Now we're checking. Like, this was just a complete and utter waste of time, right? I mean, when you send the Bitcoin transactions, we all understand we're reasonable people. A block can't take hours to find. There is congestion on the blockchain, but I've never had to wait more than 5 seconds to have the transaction recognized by the blockchain at zero confirmation.
Right, because the transaction propagates throughout the network pretty quickly.
Exactly. So when people were sending Bitcoin out of Coinbase, it was taking them 12 to 24 hours to even ping the blockchain. And then stupidly, they blamed big blocks for this. Like, we're all idiots, right? But so my suspicion has been that they have a pretty high security threshold because of things like Mt. Gox and because of things like BitPay. And they keep the majority of coins in cold storage. So when there was this huge exodus of this Bitcoin by the people, they didn't have enough Bitcoin in people's hot wallets, and they weren't ready to send them all out. Because I don't think even AML KYC takes this long to do when it comes to payments. That should be automated. Now, of course, in that case, you really need to separate, a hot wallet, aka checking account, from a cold storage wallet, aka savings account, right? So if Coinbase has been telling people that their Bitcoin is available for withdrawal, it should have really hit the blockchain almost immediately, right? What are your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, their hot wallet ran out of money. They had to go to cold storage, and there's probably like a serious multi-sig and all sorts of security protocols that need to go in. And I'm sure the CEO has to approve something when you have to bring stuff out of cold storage. So that's probably what happened. They blamed network congestion, which I thought was hilarious, because anyone that was watching the mempool saw that it was almost empty. And Coinbase pays higher fees than most, so there's no way they're getting network limited. But yeah, I mean, Coinbase was probably doing the right thing. I wish they would have just said, we're getting money out of cold storage. It's taking a while because we have such high security procedures, but don't worry, you're going to get your Bitcoin, and, we'll do everything we can to make it happen. That would have been a more honest statement, but
right.
Yeah,
we don't know that's the case. I mean, I speculated on that early, and I'm gonna stick to it unless they tell me otherwise. But yeah, but if it's anything else, it's bad. I mean, that's the only explanation that's not gonna get them crucified.
Well, another explanation could be, yeah. I mean, we know that they've been having problems with all the different signups and stuff. They have a lot of new customers. The platform isn't stable. They go offline every once in a while. So who knows? It could have been any one of those things. And I've been suspicious that their backend needs work. So maybe they were doing some upgrade or something, and that took longer. I don't know. But yeah, all of those things are possible. But I don't buy this network congestion thing at all. Just like you said, you should thank your 1,000 people that are watching.
Thank you for supporting the World Crypto Network. Please hit the like button, the share button. We are picking up an insane amount of viewers. We have over 1,000 viewers. Thank you for retweeting. Again, thank you for your support. And we have a couple of supporters that were watching us live. Throw us a few tips along with questions. And one of the questions is actually good. Do we know of any websites that are going to keep thorough track of the mining process on Bitcoin Cache and what's going on there?
That's a good question. I don't know of any websites, but I'm sure somebody will make one, or if one doesn't exist already. Certainly, you're going to want some sort of block explorer for Bitcoin Cache, because that UTXO set is completely different than Bitcoin. So I don't know, maybe a big block explorer will make a Bitcoin Cache version so you can check that a transaction went through and things like that. And something like a Coin.Dance, but for Bitcoin Cache, would be also very useful, obviously. But I don't know of any right now. But if you're a developer and you want to get a ton of hits, here's your chance, right? Go and make this stuff, and people will be clicking on your site a lot. So yeah, I mean, if anyone at chat wants to promote one, let us know. We'll go to it and see what we can find there.
Yeah, well, we'll try and look for something, and we'll throw the link in the description of this video for you. I'm sure by tomorrow morning it'll be there. There'll be some kind of a website. And speaking of mining, this is it. The Tone Vase miner is finally online. It took me like a month to set this up. I already made, you know, a little bit of coin right there. It's working. It's doing well. It's being turned on and off because I left it in my cabin and there's people there. And even though I have, you know, infinite amount of electricity, I don't have an infinite amount of ampage. So my question to you, Jimmy, is it okay for people to plug a miner in and out multiple times a day, or am I gonna like kill my only miner?
Well, I mean, that depends on the hardware that you bought and, you know, how good it is at starting up and shutting down and how much it burns through that stuff. Generally, it's okay. It may affect your mining reward a little bit.
Well, it should affect my mining reward a lot, right? Because
well,
if it's
during the times you're off.
Right.
But it's not strictly like the time, like in 24 hours, if you're up for 16 hours, you don't get like 2/3 of what you would have made in a day. Cause like the ramp up and ramp down at most pools, they average over like the last 10 blocks that you contributed or something like that. So it's better if you just stay on the whole time. They try to incentivize you to stay on the entire time and give a constant hash rate instead of sort of intermittent ones. So that's something to keep in mind. But I mean, you should be fine. I believe the mining equipment should be fine. I believe you bought yours from Canaan.io, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, and you know, I know they try to use higher quality parts. That's sort of their differentiation over, say, Antminer. So if that's the case, you shouldn't have much to worry about unless, you know, you're leaving it in an oven or something.
Okay, cool. No, just good to know. Good to know. It's usually on like overnight the whole time, but during the day when I'm limited on ampage. So, okay, so that's good to know. All right, so what else do we, okay, let's get back to price here for a second. All right, so here's my view on price. In my video yesterday, here's what I speculated. In my video yesterday, we were sitting at around, you know, 2,700. And I basically said that over the next 48 to 36 hours, all of the hype over this Bitcoin Cash is going to die out. And the more confidence people get that Bitcoin Cash is not going to be a viable alternative to Bitcoin, the more money is going to flow right into Bitcoin. And I'm looking for a pop to somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000. And I would not be surprised if it's higher than that. I think as Bitcoin Cash dies, Bitcoin would be the biggest beneficiary. Now, some people seem to think that people are selling their altcoins to get more Bitcoin to get Bitcoin Cash. I don't really believe that. I think if people already have the Bitcoin, they're trying to get a hold of their private key so they can get this Bitcoin Cash so they can then sell it for Bitcoin immediately. And like I said earlier, I don't recommend chasing that carrot because by doing that, by default, you're putting your Bitcoin at risk. Whenever you have to take your Bitcoin private keys out and use them in any way, shape, or form, I feel that it's a risk, and it's a risk I am personally not willing to take. But once a Bitcoin Cash is deemed irrelevant, which I'm expecting within the next 48 hours, I'm looking for a huge pop in Bitcoin, and I am expecting good times in Bitcoin to continue until the end of September when, you know, the war drums for 2x of the New York agreement start to beat. What are your, like, I know you're not a price guy, but what are your views on Bitcoin and where do you think it's going over the next month or two?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I will point out something that you just said about like altcoins. I know people have noticed that a lot of altcoins have been going down while Bitcoin's been going up, perhaps because people are trying to get free Bitcoin Cash or whatever. That may or may not be the case, but if that was the case, then I would expect the Bitcoin to drop a little after Bitcoin Cash is released, because that's sort of the premium that people have been putting on Bitcoin Cash. I don't know if that's true or not, but that if that's the thesis, then that's what should happen. But if your thesis is right, then it should pop just like you said. Next couple of months seem pretty clear sailing, as other than the Bitcoin Cash thing, seems pretty clear sailing. It's really November where we have the 2x hard fork that we really have to think and worry about. I don't know how that goes. I think you pointed out in the last episode that, you know, if Bitcoin Cash does survive, then you could just tell all the 2x people, go over to Bitcoin Cash. That they're your big blocks.
Yeah, you're right. There is a positive there where we can send all of them that way. Though I don't really want that. I'd rather defeat them on the Bitcoin blockchain than send them to, you know, to the leper island.
Yeah, it's hard to say what will happen when that 2x hard fork comes. And you know, there are miners that may have to choose, and we always knew that, like, you know, there's maybe 5 or 6 pools that control like some significant amount of hashing power. If some of that hash power goes over to Bitcoin Cash, then suddenly they're not as much of an overwhelming majority anymore for the 2x hard fork, and it's not maybe as viable to do that hard fork. So yeah, I don't know. Like, we'll be watching very closely for that, for the hash power that's dedicated to Bitcoin Cash tomorrow, because I think that'll give us at least some indication of how, you know, what miners are sort of willing to do and how much money they're willing to lose in order to support something that they quote unquote believe in.
Gotcha. I just remembered one very important question, and I would love to know the answer to this question. Okay. So some exchanges and stuff, they're actually going to freeze trading because they're totally clueless as to what's going on. And I don't blame them. I really don't. Like, I am as well. So for a person that okay, sorry, let me back up a little bit. I've also been telling people not to rush and get that Bitcoin Cash now. You can wait a week. You can wait 2 weeks. If Bitcoin Cash is viable, which I don't expect it to, but if it is, you can always convert your private key and get that Bitcoin Cash 2 weeks from now. Right. You don't have to do it tomorrow. So here is the question that goes along with that. What happens to the transactions in your wallet after August 1st? If they still have the same private key, but transactions showed up in your Bitcoin wallet after August 1st. If you then use that private key for Bitcoin Cash, you only get the amount of Bitcoin that was there pre-fork, correct?
Yes. Yes. So, okay. I mean, they're 2 separate chains right after the fork. So what you can do if you're really concerned about, like, using Electron Cache, for example, what you could do is use your normal Electrum on the Bitcoin network to transfer all of your coins to other private keys, right, to another Electrum wallet. But and then import those private keys that no longer hold anything in Bitcoin into Electron Cache. It now only holds Bitcoin Cash, and then transact using that. That way, the worst that can happen is you get your Bitcoin Cash stolen, but your Bitcoin is okay. So that's one way to do it.
One clarification. You have to do this after August 1st, because if you do it 1 hour early, you didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And this is...
Because I'm like thinking about this. I'm like, how is this going to help me tonight?
No, it's not going to happen tonight. And this is why, like, every exchange is shutting down for a day or so, because literally the coin is being released in like 12 and a half hours or something, right? It's kind of like Zcash before it was released, and everyone was excited for it. You know, and there was kind of a frenzy right after it was released. Most exchanges didn't provide support because it hadn't been released yet, right? Like, how do you test something that hasn't been released? Every exchange needs to test, like, deposit and withdrawal procedures, but there's no Bitcoin Cash to test it with. And until 12:20 UTC August 1st, which is 12 something hours from now, that you can't do that. You need to be able to do that to test it in order to provide support. And that's why they're shutting down for a day or so, because they need to know, how do I do this? What do we do with this? And this is not easy.
Yeah, no, and that's a very interesting point. And that's actually a solution, right? So you just hold on to all your Bitcoin after August 1st. You move all of that Bitcoin to brand new Bitcoin wallets, and then use the private key of the wallets with zero balances on them to import into whatever, like Electron Cache or whatever software, or at that point, you can move them into a questionable Bitcoin Cash fork. Now, I'm hoping people don't do that, right? Like, I'm hoping people would ignore this, because if all of you think there's free money out there on the table, if you know, I think this thing is dead on arrival, but if people so want those extra pennies and you make Bitcoin Cash viable and long lasting, that's going to be bad for your actual Bitcoin. It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. If you actually go after that Bitcoin Cash, you may be doing more harm than good to your core Bitcoin position. So I'm actually hoping people do ignore it, like I plan to ignore it. I'm also not going to throw money away, right? Like, for example, if right now I was able to use my Bitcoin private keys to get Ethereum, I'd probably do it and I'd sell it and make good money. But I wouldn't have done it when Ethereum was being launched. My point was to ignore it because I didn't think it was a viable chain, and I'm hoping to still be proven right one day. But anyway, I got way off tangent here.
But you're absolutely right. Like this procedure of sort of like moving your Bitcoins to another wallet and then using those private keys, you could do that with clams right now. If you have if you had addresses.
Stop. No. Let's not give them any ideas here, Jimmy.
No. But I want to show that it really is kind of like an airdrop, right? Like it's Bitcoin Cash with an airdrop. It is an altcoin with an airdrop that starts in 12 hours, and that's what people seem to be trying to go get for free. And I don't know. Maybe I mean I do want to ask you something though. You said that ignoring Bitcoin Cash will help it somehow. What if you're only selling it? I'm not sure how that helps Bitcoin Cash.
Okay, so earlier today, I had Associated Press call me up for quasi quote that may or may not get in, or basically I have a relationship with a few writers and editors now, and they trust me to like explain to them what's going on. I mean, you're probably the better person, but I'm the one that I guess there see my name.
Tone, you're very good at explaining things, so don't sell yourself short.
So just the idea that Associated Press is calling me to ask me about Bitcoin Cash and what it is bothers me. Like, this should not be in the mainstream media, right? Like there are more important things going on in actual Bitcoin than these hard forks. So with the more people chase it, the more, I mean, look, you and I are talking about it, the more attention we bring to it, the more attention it gets. And hey, I mean, that's saying any publicity is good publicity. It does hold true here. So that's what I mean, like bringing it more attention, chasing that Bitcoin Cash may actually give it more credibility with mainstream media writing about it. I mean, the default position is mainstream media gets the stuff wrong, but still, you know, it doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth of watching the mainstream media care more about this Bitcoin Cash thing than they did about, you know, the user activated Softfork.
Well, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like if you're going to go and sell the Bitcoin Cash, I mean, you're by definition sort of lowering the price a little bit, right? Like, I don't see how that would be very harmful. If I mean, you're not really bringing it attention. You're just moving your coins around. And if you do the procedure that we discussed earlier, then you're not putting any of your Bitcoins at risk. You're taking the Bitcoins that you have and you're just dumping them on the market. Should cause the price to fall. Should cause it to die a little more. You know, I'm not sure how that hurts people.
It's debatable. Maybe it does, but like, I'm a public person, and my default position on trolls is to just ignore them or get very sarcastic, and that seems to work. Giving them attention doesn't really work, and I'm trying to like inject that theory that's been working for me as a content creator into the realm of economics, trading, and we are in a confidence game, right? I mean, it's Bitcoin confidence. Anytime the big blockers start to gain momentum, the price falls. Every time the big blockers are defeated, the price rises. And this is an example of the big blockers gaining momentum and winning. And I see this hurting the segregated witness Bitcoin chain.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I'm not sure if the theory of ignoring trolls will work in blockchain context. But I will tell you, Tone, you can take off your hat because I believe the Bitcoin UASF countdown is over. We are now in UASF land, and it is 12 UTC. So everyone, we get to see Tone's head. Yay! BIP 148 has activated. I will be watching for the next
go. Speaking of trolls, I actually took my hair is still wet, whatever's left of it. I actually took a shower just before we got on this. All right, so let's close out. I think we've been doing this for about an hour. I think it's a good segue to exit. I guess the biggest question, our followers, 1,127 of them at the moment for live viewers. That's definitely a new record across my YouTube channel and the World Crypto Network. So thank you guys. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your donation. The biggest question now is, will the World Crypto Network go live the moment the first block and the fork is happening? So now we are looking at around 6 a.m. my time and perhaps 7 a.m. your time. So what are you doing, Jimmy, tomorrow morning at around 7 a.m. or once we figure out when the damn thing is actually forking?
Oh, man. Really? You want me to wake up that early, guys? Really?
Dude, I'm 1 hour before you, right? So I'm taking the bigger brunt of this.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, I've been really meaning to get some sleep since I went to DEF CON, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I'll be up. Yeah, you guys better show up if we're having a show. That's all I gotta say. And you know, it is kind of a momentous event, and I'm sure we'll be. I mean, I don't know if we want to wait for the first block on Bitcoin Cache because that might take a really long time.
Oh man, so, we didn't even talk about the whole block thing this time. Okay, yeah. let's talk about that real quick. So they know they're gonna get shit hash rate, right? That's about as nicely as I can say it, right? Oh, and by the way, I am expecting them to get some hash rate, which is why I'm looking at that August 9th date that we showed earlier. So let me go back to screen share real quick. So the estimates are that Bitcoin segregated witness will get locked in August 9th. I have been saying August 11th since 2014, and I think August 11th will be the lock date because there will be some hash rate that's going to move over to Bitcoin Cache. And the way I've been saying it is this is like a bait and switch. It's like via BTC and Bitcoin.com and Antpool. They're like, yes, you can mine it. We're going to mine it. And then they're not going to mine it, but they're going to get all these fools to go and mine it. Meanwhile, everybody else has an advantage of finding the next real Bitcoin block. I talked about that on my show. That's kind of how I see it. And I think enough hash rate will migrate over to slow down the finding of the blocks on the real Bitcoin blockchain to push that Wednesday the 9th into Friday the 11th. So that's how I see it. Now, let's talk about the hash rate on the Bitcoin Cache. So they know they're going to get crappy hash rate, which is why they decided to adjust the difficulty every 6 blocks. So that means the first block will take way extra time to find. And then after that, hopefully after the first 6 blocks, it will immediately drop. And then they're going to go to an average of 10 minutes.
Yeah, so it's not quite as simple as that. So I did some simulations based on like the exact code. The code says you need, if the median time passed of the current block and the median time passed of 6 blocks before are 12 hours apart, then change the difficulty by 25%. And I've done simulations on this, and if say Bitcoin Cache is like 5%, it turns out that you need something like 2 days before everything adjusts back and you're at around 10-minute blocks. But then more hash power can come on and mine it really fast. And, you know, the incentives change dramatically every time these difficulties adjust. So, you know, and there's luck involved and stuff. So it gets really tricky to model.
I have a speculation that a big miner like via BTC, like Bitcoin.com, like Antpool, they're actually going to throw their hash power onto it for 6 blocks just to get to that first difficulty real quick. Like,
well,
I'm
you
expecting
can't get to it real quick. If you get it there too quick, then it won't adjust. It needs to be at least 12 hours between 6 blocks in order for the difficulty to adjust. Yeah, so you can't really game it very easily.
Oh wow, I didn't expect any form of responsibility from these people. That actually sounds reasonable.
Yeah, well, it depends what you mean by reasonable, but yeah, there could be what can end up happening, and this is kind of one of the steady states of Bitcoin Cash, is that you have like massive difficulty changes, and then difficulty gets really easy. A lot of hash power comes on. Then 2016 blocks, they adjust it and make it more difficult again. Then it's like super slow for a while, but then difficulty drops again because of this 12-hour.
Where did the 2016 blocks come from? I thought it was 6.
So there's the 6 block difficulty, but they also kept the 2016 block difficulty adjustment. So the 12-hour difficulty only drops the difficulty. With the 2016, it can up the difficulty. So it can make it more difficult every 2016, but the 6 block difficulty adjustment is constant, and it only happens if you have really, really small hash rate compared to difficulty.
Oh, so the 6 blocks will only drop it.
Yeah.
So the moment they drop it, it's not, oh, okay, so there goes my responsibility statement. So if a bunch of hash power comes on, and they drop this thing after 12 hours to some ungodly low.
You have to lower the hash rate. Everybody has to drop out in order for that to happen.
No. I'm saying once this thing goes live, and some hash power, 5%, 10%, whatever, comes on. All they need is 6 blocks over 12 hours to drop the difficulty.
Yes.
So after 12 hours, they can drop the difficulty to some ungodly low number.
1/20th of it. Yeah, something like that.
And after that, a bunch of hash power can come on, and that sucker is not going to get raised until 2,000 blocks?
Yeah, until the difficulty adjustment period ends, which
2,000.
Well, yeah, or I mean, August 9th or August 11th, like you said, that's when it would readjust back. That would be the next
well, no, but they're going to be on their own chain. What does that have to do with the SegWit chain?
So roughly speaking, they'll happen around the same time because of the 6 block difficulty changes. It'll still be about once every 10 minutes. Although it could happen even earlier because the blocks may come much faster because the
But then what I'm saying is that it'll take them 12 hours to drop the difficulty to some insane low level, and then a bunch of mining can come on and they can hyper mine the 2,000 blocks because there's nothing stopping them at that point.
Right. So in order to do that, though, it's not, if you do 6 blocks in 12 hours, that still requires about 5% of the hash power. If you have anything, but then the difficulty will adjust so that it doesn't really drop below. It'll be about once every 10 minutes for 5%.
Right.
So
but right after the 5%, 5 additional percent comes on the network, and you're mining 5-minute blocks.
Right. There's an upper limit to sort of how much faster you can go because, you know, at 5%, you can go 20 times faster, but not 100 times faster. And 20 times means that all the hash power is on there, which isn't going to happen. So, you know, I'm thinking like it'll quadruple maybe. It'll go from 5 to 20%, in which case you'll have 2.5 minute blocks. But yeah.
No way. I mean, I don't even see 10%.
Well, I mean, it might be. So it becomes like this really weird game depending on the price of Bitcoin Cash. Because if it's rational for a miner to go over based on 2.5 minute blocks, then, you know, like the price doesn't have to be as high for them to move over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But we should probably close here. We will try to get you back on at like 7 a.m. tomorrow as this is happening. You know, I still think there is a chance they're not going to do it. I still think there is a high probability this is a bluff. And nothing happened. There's going to be like a big thing saying, ha, ha, ha. We're not doing it. We're not that crazy.
Oh, that would be such an epic troll. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that would be an awesome troll.
That would be like the greatest troll of all time. But we are 12 hours and about 8 minutes left before we have the Bitcoin Cache hard fork. So, oh man, this is exciting in many ways. I know you don't want to give it legitimacy or whatever, Tone, but you know.
Oh, wait. It's 8 p.m. by me, right? So 12 hours from now.
It is 8 a.m. Yeah.
12 hours, so it's 8 a.m. That's not bad. I'll be up for that.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean, it'll be set.
Wait. I got my time zones wrong. You have to be up earlier than me.
Yeah, I have to be at 7, and you have to be up at 8. Yeah. So that's gonna suck. Oh man, I hope you're getting good tips on this channel, Tone.
We did well, man. Hey, it's all about the views. It's not about the tips. We just broke the record at 1,000. We had like 1,127. All right, we're gonna leave it here. Any closing thoughts? What's your, just in your closing thoughts, your overall feeling on tomorrow?
Well, my overall feeling is like everything's going to be sort of at a standstill right at around the time that we're going to be on air. And I expect the mempools on both to be fairly empty. And then as soon as the first Bitcoin Cache block is found, I expect a lot, the mempool to go crazy, because I think people will be transferring a lot of money around for a variety of reasons, but mostly to get Bitcoin Cache out. So expect that tomorrow. I imagine it's going to be an exciting day, a lot of Twitter, and you know, like one of the most unproductive days for a Bitcoiner since like 2013 or something. So we'll see what's going to happen, but that's my closing thought.
All right, so my closing thoughts are that this will be generally a non-event. There's going to be a bunch of confused people trading around like chickens without their heads. There will be some exchange delays because they're not going to want to deal with this nonsense. I think the price of Bitcoin Cash will quickly drop from the 300 futures market all the way down to under 100 and probably closer to about $5. Within 48 hours, I'm expecting a complete people to ignore this thing. No hash rate is really going to go to it. I'm not expecting much. And in the aftermath of the destruction of Bitcoin Cash, I'm expecting a huge pop in the price of Bitcoin as another victory celebration for defeating another attempt to overtake Bitcoin development, to hard fork Bitcoin, to make it less decentralized. And I think we will succeed again. And this will be as relevant as clams is today.
Good show, Toad. That was awesome. I think we've had our viewers seem to like this combination of you and me. So I want to say thank you, because you're a really good partner in this thing. So it's been a lot of fun today.
No, and thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this Bitcoin scaling series. We will try to bring you this series. At least once a week. It really depends on the Bitcoin situation. As for now, check out all the links in the description of the video. We will look for a website that keeps track of all this stuff the moment it forks. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your support. Please donate. Please like. Please share. Follow us on Twitter. My Twitter handle is ToneVase. Jimmy's handle is Jimmy Song. Very simple. Of course, we have the World Crypto Network, along with my YouTube channel where I do more economics and Bitcoin. And I am available for consulting, mostly in the realm of trading and economics. So reach out to me. My email is in the description of the video, along with on Liberty Life Trail, my website, and all the other places where you find me. Any other thoughts, Jimmy, or we're good to go?
I think we're good to go. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching, and good luck tomorrow morning. We'll try and bring you the live stream as it happens.